Hey guys, it's Anna, and I've got a quick tip for Silhouette Studio today, and I'm calling this one Copy Things You Can't Undo. And obviously that requires a little bit of explanation because you can always do an action and then hit the undo button to undo it. But here's what I mean. Let's say I've got these two shapes and I want to group them together. There is a command to group, and then I can go down the road, make lots of changes, save this file, exit out, come back, and I can always hit the ungroup command to make those two shapes again. A lot of the things that we do in Silhouette, there is a command to make a change, and then there's a command to do the opposite, so group and ungroup, for instance. Or the same is true about changing text. I can change text, go on with my project, come back later and decide to make that text say something else, and no harm, no foul, that's available. However, there are certain kinds of changes you can make to a shape that the only way to undo them is to hit that undo button. What's wrong with that? Well, for one thing, when you save a file and exit out of Silhouette Studio, your undo history is then gone because it only remembers to undo the commands you've done this time. So that's one thing. Another thing is you may get into a long project and be 20 steps past something that you changed, and you don't want to undo everything you've done since then. You just want to undo that one little thing. So I don't like to rely on the undo button for something that doesn't have an opposite command like group or ungroup. So I'm going to give you, I've got a little list here of some times that applies. The first one is with auto shapes. So the auto shapes over here in the toolbar are great because they have these little tools that you can use to adjust your shape in different ways, which is great. But there may come a point where you need to release that auto shape. In other words, you need to turn it into just a regular shape that doesn't have those tools anymore. For instance, if you need to edit points on that shape, if you're going to weld it with something else, etc., you're going to need to get rid of your functionality that you can still adjust the auto shape. So before I do that, I will make a copy. And I'm doing Alt, click and drag to make a copy. And then if I need to convert to path or weld this with something else, etc., I will still have my original shape in case I need to go back and make some kind of adjustment. The next is working with text. So you saw me edit this text before. This text here has been ungrouped and then welded. I cannot edit this text anymore. It's no longer text, it's now a shape. So before you make a change to text that makes it not text anymore, but a regular shape, you'll want to make a copy of it. This would be if you're going to release the compound path, if you're going to convert to path, if you're going to ungroup, or if you're going to weld text. Any of those changes are going to take away your editing functionality on that text. So I would make a copy of it. Even if you're sure, oh, I think I know how to spell my name, you may get down the road on this project and realize you need to make another word or another name that's the exact same font size and font. And it's a lot easier if you've got a copy of the text there. Next, if you're going to use the knife tool, like I did on this heart here, that's another type of change that you can only undo by hitting the undo button. If you're going to weld shapes together, if you're going to use any of the modify tools right here, up at the top, weld, subtract, crop, all of those, any of those are things that you can only undo with the undo button. And then I already mentioned anything that you're doing with text. So all those types of changes, I recommend highly that you make a copy of your shape before you make that modification. That way you won't regret it later. Thanks, guys. I hope this was helpful.